This is episode 25 of the Rise Up Podcast. We're a morning radio show hosted by Steve, Terese, and Tim on Family Life, a network of stations across New York and Pennsylvania. Our podcast is a weekly conversation that will help you think and grow in your faith. If you haven't already, subscribe today so you don't miss a single episode, and find out more about our show at familylife.org.
Today is the day the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. This is Rise Up on Family Life.
Don't you wish you could just go back to your summer job you had as a teenager or maybe even after that? Weren't they so much fun?
Kind of, I guess.
What was yours, Terese? Did you have summer jobs as a teenager or, even into your early 20s or something?
So probably my first summer job was working at Camp Ketapalua.
Whoa, say that again.
Camp.
Exactly. Camp Ketapalua. Oh, you said camp. I got it.
Yeah. See, I love that word. Yeah.
And so I was like a counselor in training and then a counselor, and it was a lot of fun, but really hard. There was this one really super steep hill that I remember that it was like, ugh, every day, going up and down. There was also leeches in the pond, and that was kind of gross. They were little tiny ones, but still, that's just something you have to experience in life, I guess, right? And then when I got a little older, I worked at a cookie shop in College Town near Cornell.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a little bit bougie in that we had Haagen-Dazs ice cream, which has a really super high fat content, which means that it's really hard to scoop. So there's nothing worse than like the hot summer days of Ithaca and having to scoop high fat content ice cream. and then I worked in radio when I was in high school. And then once I started doing that job, I kind of stopped all the other ones, because why would you want to do anything other than this?
Yeah, it's true. I always say it beats work.
Right. So still to this day, you will never catch me buying Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Okay, so you worked at a camp. Tim, did you work at a summer camp at all?
Not a summer camp, but I did work at a campground.
Okay.
So like public campgrounds. And it's kind of funny because you mentioned summer jobs, like, oh, wouldn't you love to go back to that? And the funny thing is, I remember it now with all these fond memories. It was so much fun, all this stuff. And I wonder if that's really accurate to how I felt then. Because I think a lot of times when we look back on things that are from our younger years or from years past, we tend to kind of gloss them up. And I think that's a good thing, to remember the memories, the good parts of the memories. But yeah, that was a really enjoyable time working. Basically, the way I see it now is I got paid to be in God's creation every day. Now, if you had asked me back then what it was I did, I would have told you I weed whacked and I mowed lawns and I cleaned bathrooms and I took out trash and did the whole garbage man thing. And there were parts of that did not look like the beauty of God's creation. Certainly. But there were other aspects of it that were really special and things that you just can't plan for, having connections that might go a lot longer than just a summer job. I've got a friendship from that job that I cherish to this day, and never would I have ever imagined that that would have come out of a summer working at a public campground.
See, Tim has such a better perspective than me. If I had just looked at those leeches and that giant hill as part of God's creation, I would probably have much better memories of it. I guess God did make leeches, and that giant hill could only be his handiwork.
Thank you, Lord, for hills and leeches. I feel a song coming on or something. I'm thinking of couple of camp experiences that I had as far as working. The first one was actually Tim, you would appreciate this, a sports ball camp. It was a basketball camp for 2 summers, so it was an overnight camp, but I was not only a camper, but they also had those combination camper workers, like you worked as part of your tuition to go to the camp. So the bad part about that is that while all the other campers would go have their fun free time, we had to work getting the meals ready or cleaning up after the meals, or we served the meals, and after they left, we got our meals and that kind of thing. So you had to work your way through. But the one thing I remember about that is I always to this day will call any kind of juice that you make from a mix, because the guy, maybe this is a camp thing, it was my first experience at it though, but the guy who ran the camp always called it bug juice.
Yes, I knew you were going to say bug juice.
Bug juice.
Yeah.
Who has the bug juice?
Ooh.
Who has the bug juice?
Whether it was like Kool-Aid or Punch
Exactly.
or Tang or
Yes.
whatever it was, they were all just bug juice.
It's always bug juice.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that's kind of
bug
neat.
Until there's an actual bug in it, then it's not.
Then it's not
so
as not so much
that
fun.
is God's creation.
That's
bugs,
right.
so-
Those bugs were much easier to go down than the
You
leeches.
don't want leeches in your bug juice.
Right, you don't want that. The other camp was then during my latter years of high school, I worked at one of those summer camps where the kids would come to a school for, was it all day? I can't even remember now if it was all day or just in the morning. But, we did sports activities and different things like that. And the kids came and had fun and played. So, yeah, there was the camps and all those things. And then of course, there was this is my favorite summer job for a couple summers during college, was the telemarketer. Yes, I was one of those. I was a telemarketer. I called you and your parents at dinner time.
Oh, always dinner time. How did you time that so well?
I don't know, because that's where our hours were.
That's so funny.
Yeah, from
Do you
6 to 9
remember-
at night. 6 to 9 at night was that. So we would always call it nighttime, dinner time, and whatever. Yeah.
Do you remember what you might have made during any of those jobs? Like, I think camp counselor, like the whole summer, was maybe like a couple $100 at most.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like one check and way under minimum wage, because you were like a special class of worker.
I did learn that because of those other jobs, then I went into the latter job was the telemarketer. You did make more money doing that, although it was strictly commission. It was sales.
Oh.
So I did learn that lesson in life is like if you can sell something, no matter what it is, chances are the money there is okay. Now, there might be some weeks where you make like nothing.
Right.
Or very little. And then there's other weeks where you might make a lot. So I learned that lesson in life about sales and how that all works. I hadn't really had an education in that up until that point.
Interesting. I don't know if you call it a life lesson, but something I've certainly learned a lot from came from, in a disconnected way, my summer job earnings, because I didn't really have much to do with that money that I did earn at the campground. And so it stuck around for longer than that year. I didn't use it that summer, all the money from that job at the campground. It wasn't until the next summer that I was dating someone by the name of Trinity, who you'll know now is my wife. And those summer wages went to her engagement ring. So the life lessons, I don't know if I'm going to attribute my campground summer job with everything I've been blessed with and being married to Trinity. I think there's more to credit than just that. However, it is a significant payout from what was saved from that summer of working at camp. You never know.
That's a good bonus right there. That's perks. That's perks from the summer job.
Job perks.
And Terese didn't have to get paid a lot. She got to eat ice cream and cookies.
Well, and it was a workout too, all at the same time.
You would never want to eat cookies or ice cream if you worked in one of those places because you'd be so tired of them. And you only scoop with one arm. So my right arm to this day has more muscle than my left arm because that's my scooping hand.
I was going to ask you that question not about your muscular arm. I was going to ask that. I was going to ask the question about, and I've heard that about people that work in food service. When you work around it all day long, you tend to get tired of it.
It's like I never talk after we're done on the radio in the mornings. I'm silent the rest of the day.
My wife wishes I didn't talk the rest of the day after I get off the radio. But I wish I had. Here's the wish. Were you going to say something, Terese?
I mentioned the pay because I've been reading about trends with teenagers and work. And especially during the pandemic, there was a huge dip in the number of teens who were working. And there was kind of this thought of like, do teenagers even have to work anymore? Do they even have summer jobs? But by this year, something really interesting had happened because so many adults didn't return to their positions after the pandemic.
Right.
Teenagers have been able to step into those roles and they're making some great money. If you have a teen that is looking to work this summer, like they can get engaged and pay for college and get a car. I mean, they can do a lot with what they could earn just in one summer. You know, things have really changed since we were working our little summer jobs.
Wonder what babysitters get these days. I don't know about that.
A lot more than the $2 an hour that I used to get.
Yeah, I was thinking. But I wish I look back to those days and I said, and we have to remind ourselves of this as adults going to work every day. I wish I had the attitude going to that job that was in my heart, that knew that I wasn't going to go work for that camp. I wasn't going to work, for this school, or I wasn't going to go work for this telemarketing company. In my mind, in my attitude, and I still need that today, is I'm going to work for the Lord. That's where my focus should be. And when you're going to say, okay, God, I know I may not like part of this, what I'm going to do today, and I know this person or that person or this situation will be frustrating and that kind of thing. Or as a telemarketer, for heaven's sake, if I get yelled at by somebody, which will happen, and I'm going to do that, if I have the attitude of like, okay, Lord, I'm not doing this, I'm doing this for you. So what kind of attitude can I show toward my coworkers, toward other people I come in contact with? I know, because God's word says it, when you approach it that way, it's so much healthier and you get so much more out of your job. You actually look forward to it to say like, how else is God going to use me in this yucky situation that I'm going into today?
Right.
So, yeah.
When you're scooping ice cream for the Lord, everyone gets an extra scoop.
I love it.
I love that.
It's a cherry on top.
You might even see an extra leech if you're crawling up a...
Just stick with bug juice.
If you're looking for fun, hope, and encouragement, you've come to the right place. This is Rise Up with Steve, Terese, and Tim on Family Life.
A lot of encouragement.
I suppose there will be.
Okay, well, it's kind of working.
Why are you being so quiet, Tim?
Well, it's a test. It's a whisper test. Okay, I'm going to stop because it's a little creepy, but it can be encouraging too. Just moderately. So the whisper test goes like this. If you whisper to somebody, I mean, not like in normal whispering circumstances when you're all trying to be quiet. Like in the middle of the day, you whisper to somebody, well, they're likely to whisper back.
Okay.
You can just kind of test this today. Maybe have fun with somebody who you work with. You just greet them in a whisper. They're probably going to whisper back to you. It's just psychology. We tend to do that. If somebody else is whispering, we think, oh, there must be a good reason to be quiet right now. And just kind of test our response, that we speak like we're spoken to.
So you're saying if we whisper, other people around us will whisper.
Yeah, that's basically how it works.
Do you think this works with children who are on vacation?
It's very juicy. It just might. It depends. If you make it into a game, perhaps.
Ashley in Cortland is an expert, a teacher, and she says this whispering technique, yes.
Kids would tend to get, elevated and upset, especially in English class, because it's a challenging class for kiddos, and they would get loud. And instead of getting louder than them, I would get quieter and quieter until I was whispering like this. And they would get quieter to hear me. Things that are whispered, we naturally want to hear.
Yeah.
So it works, what you're saying. I mean, so it works.
Yeah. Oh.
It works.
Whispering works.
Of course we're happy. You're here. Why wouldn't we be? Thanks for listening to Rise Up on Family Life.
Go into any crowded area and sneeze, and everybody's head will whip around because they're like, what do you have? Are you going to spread it to me? And it got me thinking about the phrase bless you. Somebody sneezes, you say that. And that goes back to this idea that somehow like these evil spirits were trying to purge themselves from your body, which is a weird thing. And then you would say bless you because you were actually asking for like God's blessing on them because of what was. And so I don't know. I thought that was kind of, maybe it's an idea we could let go. What would you say instead of bless you when you hear somebody sneeze? Who's this?
Hello, my name is Charlie and I live in Alfred Station, New York.
Bless you.
What I like to say is wipe your sniffer.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah.
That is a nice thing to say to somebody.
Thank you guys. We love you. Bye.
This is Joanne in Houghton, New York. What I said when I lived in Bolivia on 2-year short-term mission. Salud, which means good health to you.
Oh,
I like that.
Salvia. Beaver Dam.
What do you say when somebody sneezes instead of bless you?
Duck.
Duck. Duck. Run for cover.
I'm Cindy Shirley and I live in the town of Maine.
Wow.
What do you say instead of bless you?
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Do you know what that means in German?
No.
It means good health. So that's a very nice thing to say to somebody. I guess you could just say good health, right?
Why would you say good health when you can say Gesundheit? I mean.
It's Steve, Terese, and Tim helping you to rise up on Family Life, a friend you can turn to.
They were funny to look at, but it's really nothing to laugh at. Those tiny little T-Rex arms. Why did they have those? Well, we're asking that question all over again because another kind of like Tyrannosaurus relative was found recently called the Meraxus gigas. It's a huge, big old dinosaur, big scary teeth and big old chomping head and tiny little arms. Why did these threatening big dinosaurs that looked like they were so vicious have such tiny arms? Well, we still don't know. One reason they could have been designed that way is because, and this is where we don't laugh at it anymore, they were really serious about their food, about their eating. And when they would get together and get a little feeding frenzy going on, maybe they didn't want any arms getting in the way, because, you know, when you're trying to eat that other tinier dinosaur, you don't want to end up eating your buddy's arm along with it. So tinier arms could kind of help. That's seriously one reason they think maybe they had these teeny tiny arms.
Right. Well, and plus it's challenging when you want to participate and show everybody how happy you are. Poor T-Rex.
He's happy and he knows it, but he can't clap his hands.
Yay.
Here we go. It's another new day. You're listening to Rise Up with Steve, Terese, and Tim on Family Life.
Norma from Port Allegheny.
All right. Chances are your kindergarten teacher was a woman. That's because 95% of kindergarten teachers are female. There's another profession that's tied at number one for female employees. What is it?
Nursing.
Not it.
Sorry.
Nope, more and more men
Not
becoming
nursing.
nurses. That's right. Not it.
Melissa from Punxsutawney. My guess is waitress.
Ooh, that's not it, but that's a great guess.
Sorry. Yeah, thanks for trying.
Xavier, Naples, child care worker.
Oh, not it. But that's
Sorry.
a great guess.
Yeah.
Janet, and I'm from Clarion, Pennsylvania. I would say secretary.
No, like an administrative assistant. Not that high.
Yeah.
Norma from Port Allegheny. I'm going to think now a hairdresser.
Nope.
Leroy Anderson, Guys Mills, second guest here. Stewardess.
Here's the answer. Are you ready? 95%
I'm ready.
of dental hygienists are women.
Sorry, I just like to do the bell.
I know. And it's funny because when you hear kindergarten teacher, you probably think back to your kindergarten teacher and you're like, oh, yes. And you smile.
Yeah.
But when you think of anything that has to do with the dentist office, you're probably like, But really, we should smile when we think of our dental hygienists. You get to know them and you can have conversations like, and
By the end of that, kind of somewhat awkward, mumbly conversation,
Yes.
one-sided, you've got a great smile that you can remember them by.
There you go.
As refreshing as that first sip of coffee in the morning. This is Rise Up with Steve, Terese, and Tim on Family Life.